Good afternoon, everybody. This is Melisha with Love for Life Wellness. I sincerely apologize for the delay. We were both having some technical issues. And so, to me, whenever those technical issues happen, that means it's going to be a great show and it's nothing but the devil messing. And so, we're going to just forget about how we started, but we are excited for the Sister to Sister Saturday show today. We have a special guest with us today, Miss Kai Sutton, who is the president of our local NAACP here in Springfield, Missouri, and she is an empowerment coach, and we will be talking about domestic violence today. So, Kai, can you say hello to everybody before we get started?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm really happy to be here and talk about the issue. Thanks for inviting me to your platform.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm excited to talk about domestic violence and how it's happening. And when I was getting prepared for the show, I was thinking about how during COVID, that some of the domestic violence may have escalated. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. But let me introduce myself to those that may be new to the Sister to Sister Saturday and that may not know me. My name is Melisha Bailey, and I am a nutritional holistic health coach, and I help women to empower them to live their best life. And I do that through coaching them through health issues, with lifestyle change, mindset change, incorporating healthy habits so that they can have the life of their dreams. And so my goal is for every woman to be healthy. And I have a systematic approach that I created called the Let Go System that I use to help women, especially to take control of their health, especially women that are suffering with diabetes or and controlling their A1C, chronic pain, weight issues, and stress. And so my this show and this platform is not to treat or diagnose any issues, but it's educational and informational and a way to provide information to women across the world. I have women from Armenia to California that tune in, listen, and I'm excited to be able to share what I know and have powerful guests that can help us along our journey. And so one of the things I wanted to do this year for the Sister to Sister is not just talk about health, but incorporate a lot of different conversations about women and some of the things that women are struggling with. So we've talked about finance, we're going to talk about real estate. Next week, we're going to talk about getting through divorce. But this week, we are talking about domestic violence with Miss Kai Sutton. So, Kai, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the wonderful things that you're doing before we get into our subject?
Okay, well, thank you. And thanks again for inviting me on your platform. I am the current president of our local chapter of the NAACP, a new position for me. So I'm excited to kind of see, what I can do in my term. I moved here to Springfield, Missouri, from Chicago, back in 2011. Myself and four children. I actually left an abusive relationship with four children, one suitcase, and $20 is all I had. And I came to Joplin, Missouri. The tornado happened, and then we relocated here to Springfield. So I've just been here ever since. And since kind of healing, I've been pouring what I've learned back into women and young girls. So I host an annual conference called Amazingly Me that kind of pours into young girls. It's a really good conference, to boost their self-esteem and talk about issues to prevent domestic violence, teenage pregnancy. Is kind of the idea behind that, and empower women. So I'm just on a mission.
Wow, that's a great mission to be on. I wish that I had had women like you um, a million years ago when I was
Mm.
growing up and, could help me with domestic violence. I saw domestic violence in my home, and it's not a pretty scene, and it's horrific, especially for young children to see what happens with adults that are experiencing this type of violence, especially against women. So let's talk about I guess the term domestic violence, it encompasses a whole lot of things. Talk a little bit about what it means and how it impacts our communities.
Yeah, well, it impacts our community as an entirety. It's in every neighborhood, every city, every state, all across the world. So no matter where you're at, it can happen right in your own environment. And a lot of people think domestic violence is, boyfriend, girlfriend all the time. And it can be amongst siblings, it can be elder abuse, so it's a lot of different factors that fall into that. But, basically it's a pattern. It's an abuse pattern. It's unhealthy, it's toxic, and it happens um, in every generation. It seems like it's a curse. It's a pandemic. It's an epidemic. Domestic violence is, and so that's why a lot of people are on a quest to kind of raise more awareness about it, because a lot of people don't like to talk about it because it hurts. A lot of it's in your schools, it's in your church, it's at your workplace. You may have friends, family. For me, it was in my family. I grew up watching my mom, get abused. Women in my family, I seen some men in my family abuse women, so it was those same thought patterns in my mind when I grew up and had a relationship. The same thing was happening, with my sisters and, friends. So it's just like a thing that is plaguing our community, especially here in Greene County. It's a really big deal. In Greene County, it's just as big as Kansas City and St. Louis put together. So it's a really big deal right here where we're living at.
What are some of the major causes, do you think, that would prompt someone that feel like they can commit this type of abuse and atrocity to another person?
Well, that's not really a tough question, but it is a good question, because you never really know what's on someone's mind. It can be a lot of different things. Some people are just sometimes impatient. They may have seen it, and then when they're in a heated conflict, they may act out what they've seen growing up, provoked. Um, there's all sorts of reasons why people do, or just the power and control. Just to be able to say, I need you to do this, or if you don't, this is what will happen to you. A lot of times, I know for me, I was 15, maybe 14, being abused by a boyfriend, all because of I didn't do certain things he wanted me to do. I didn't. It wasn't like I, provoked him, gave him a reason. It was just simply, I need you to do this. You won't do it. This is what's going to happen to you. Just the being power drunk. People just like, some people just feel stronger if they have that type of power over someone.
Let me ask you a question. Do sometimes, because I've known people that have been in a several abusive relationships back to back.
Mm-hmm.
What is there something that attracts a person to allow an abuser into their lives, or is it? I'm not saying it's their fault, but why does that happen? I wonder.
Well, I was that person. I was that woman. I uh did that. Where it seemed like, okay, I'd go from this experience, and then I get into another one, and then wow, it's happening again. How did I get here? A lot of, in my opinion, um, confidence, self-worth, self-love. If you're not fully aware of what you deserve, you really don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. If you haven't seen it, you don't know your own value. So that was me. And you think you can love the red flags out of people.
Yeah.
You feel them, you see them, they're there. It's not like you're not feeling like, oh, this is uncomfortable, this is not right. but you feel like, um, well, if I love harder, they will become better to me.
Mhm.
That mindset. So a lot of times I feel like it's the mindset. It's the situation. Do you have children? Sometimes you might stay in this relationship because you have children with the person, and for me, I wanted that two-parent household. I craved it. I didn't have it growing up. He didn't have it. So we wanted to give it to our children. So I fought to hold on to that, so that's, another reason why I stayed at one time. Another time it was, it's always beautiful in the beginning,
Mhm.
and then things shift. So just different reasons.
I was thinking about my own life when I was about 16. I had an abusive, well, it didn't get to the point, but the signs were there that it was going to
Mhm,
become abusive. And um, I had run away from home. I was in this abusive, almost an abusive relationship. It was more of a mind control,
mhm.
controlling, and I had the wherewithal to get away, and I had to move away to another city, and and really work hard not to attract that type of person to
Yeah.
me anymore because I had seen it already. And so
Mhm,
it takes strength, it takes courage
mhm.
to value yourself so that you
Yeah.
don't follow in that pattern of allowing those type of people into your life. And it could be very difficult, especially if you are a person that, like you said, never had seen it before. It's all you know, perhaps, and you don't have self-love and self-value and you don't have enough self-care for yourself to get out of it. But I'm glad I was able to, and I'm glad for people like you that are empowering young people to, especially young women, because I was
Mhm.
16 at the time,
Yeah.
and to get out of it. Do you see a pattern with younger girls or older girls? Does the age pattern, does it have a pattern? I guess that's my question.
Um, well, yeah, it has a pattern. I feel like it happens in every age group, honestly, statistic wise. I mean, you have high school girls, middle school girls, going through it, and you may have those elementary school girls, who are at home and they see it every day,
Mhm.
and so I feel like we have to start there, very young, to talk about it. We have to have the conversation because it's happening every day, every minute, every 90 seconds somebody's being abused all over. So it's very important to talk about it. But it ranges all the way up to adult. I mean, I'll probably talk about this a little bit later in your show, but I mean, there's women who are 65
Yeah.
years of age in an abusive relationship and
Mm.
staying and been there for multiple years,
Mhm.
by choice, or whatever, her mindset is at. So it ranges.
Do Now, what about like our the schools across the country or even here in Greene County? Are the schools addressing these abusive issues? Because I would imagine if anywhere from preschoolers to high school kids are seeing abusive relationships, are the school addressing these issues with the kids and letting and giving them an opportunity to come forward to talk about an abuse that's maybe going on in their homes?
Yeah, I would think so. I know it's happening across the country. I know here in Greene County, it is happening. People are having the conversations. I know I personally have gone to several schools and talked to a group of girls, by invitation, to share my story and talk with them. And you'll be surprised, what they have to say. You'll be surprised. Some of them, don't want to go home, or they'll talk about, what's happening, at home. So yeah, but people in this city are taking course of action, to address the issues. Yeah, I think it needs to happen a little bit more, but it is an opportunity, to address it on a larger scale. But it is happening.
So let's talk a little bit about what happened. Do you during COVID-19, when we were sheltering in place and people were, locked in together, they said there was an escalation of domestic violence. Can you talk about that a little bit, or what happened, or why that
Yeah,
happened?
definitely. Because if you think about it, what's COVID? So what's the remedy to reduce COVID is they say stay home,
Mm,
right? Isolate yourself.
yeah.
Stay apart. You can't see your family and friends. You feel alone because you're isolated. So it's the same situation in domestic violence, and then now we're forced to stay home with the abuser who
Mhm.
already isolates us, keeps us quiet, keeps us away. So yeah, that's why, because you're before the pandemic of COVID, you could at least probably go to work,
Mhm.
deal with that when you come home, or they were at work, and so that's why it escalated, because it's more time together, in that relationship.
Talk about some of the signs that you could possibly be in an abusive relationship, but it hasn't escalated to the point of physical abuse. Or, how does it normally start? Does it start verbally? Is there like a grooming, something like that? Like how does it start? Or what would be the signs that you could possibly be in in an abusive relationship before it actually gets there?
I always like to say, if it feels abusive or unsafe, it most likely is. Someone who's trying to convince you that they are all you need. Like, you
Mm,
don't need your friends, you don't need your family. Oh, I need to know your location on your phone. A lot of teenagers I deal with go through this part. I need to have your location and your password. I need to know you're okay, at all times. So, that thing. And you think that it's safe. Oh, they really care about me, that being overly jealous, being jealous, period. Things like that. Yelling. Um, just that whole power and control thing is a really big indicator. So, but definitely someone who's trying to keep you away from your family and friends and control the things that you do, or can't the way that you dress. There's so many signs. So if it feels unsafe, I would say stop right in that moment and analyze what's going on and be honest with how you're feeling, because we pick up on those red signs and those vibes, but we often choose to ignore it or think, oh, it's just me, it's not, this way, and then it escalates later to something totally different.
absolutely. I'm going to be doing the Women's E3 conference, and the name of my presentation is called Your Soul's Power. And so I thought about this in relation to what we're talking about, because a lot of time our soul, intuition, our heart
Hmm.
tells us things
Hmm.
and it warns us,
Yeah.
and that's the soul trying to communicate to our head, but a lot of times we just step over it or don't
Hmm.
acknowledge it and continue down that spiral until it gets totally out of control, and not paying attention to what is going on in front of us, and also that stirring in our gut, in our spirit, that something isn't right. And so the goal is to, for, I guess, part of your empowerment is to help girls to feel that feeling and to take action.
Yeah, allowing yourself to feel is really important. So if you feel it, if it doesn't feel right, if you have to question it, or if you have to even ask yourself, then that's a warning sign right there. Those red flags, please do not run from them, overlook them, try to justify them, make an excuse for them. No, they're there because they're there to trigger your mind to know this is not okay.
So, what's the difference between domestic abuse and domestic violence? I'm sure I know, but let's identify that for our audience.
Well, I mean, honestly, they're the same.
They're the same.
Domestic violence, domestic abuse. It's just some people classify things differently. There are several different forms of abuse. Physical, and so there's a verbal. There's emotional, there's financial abuse, there's sexual abuse, so mental abuse. So there's all different forms. And a new term I learned later was gaslighting. That's a really big one. So, gaslighting is a form of manipulation where it has you thinking, um, questioning your own sanity. That you're the problem all the time, and you start to believe it, and you start to think, oh, it is me, and you start to tear yourself down and try to love them through that, but you're really doing more harm to you. So that's a real deal, a real thing, gaslighting.
So, what happens to the woman that has finally gotten out of these abusive relationship? What has happened to her soul and her spirit? How does she feel when she's with by herself with her four kids and she's like, "Oh my God, this happened," and what is going through her mind and how does she move forward?
Oh, it's really tough. It was not easy. As soon as I got to Joplin, I just went to the salon and cut all my hair. I just cut everything off, and I was dark for a very long time. So especially when you feel like you gave everything, and it may not necessarily be a divorce. It could be a long-term relationship. For me, it was 11 years, so all of that building, you feel like you wasted your time, you have to start all the way over. How am I going to do it? So it's a lot of soul searching, a lot of self-reflection that takes place, a lot of learning about who you are, what you deserve, what you don't, your worth. It's a lot of work, a lot of work. So the woman will need a lot of support, because it's never easy to heal from something so traumatic.
So, do a lot of women find it hard to allow themselves to feel love and to love themselves enough for self to take care of themselves for self care, so that they can be the best person they can for themselves and perhaps for their children? How does that play into self care and self love, into getting after you have gotten away from your abuser?
hmm Awareness plays a big part. You have to first know that you deserve the best. You have to know that you're worth everything you desire, everything great, that you are amazing as you are, and allow yourself to feel, to grow, um, and teach yourself what it's like to love on you. What does that feel like? Because you pour so much of you into the relationship, into your children, into your work, to other people, to where you don't matter. As long as everybody else is okay,
Hmm.
you feel like you're good, but really, no, you have to love you first so you can be healthy enough to pour that love out to everyone else. So I think the awareness is first.
And then I think that's hard for women, because a lot of time I call us women in the middle, because we are so used to putting everything and everyone in front of us. We put our
Hmm
kids, we may put our spouse, we may put our aged parents, we put our jobs, we put our volunteering, all the things. We put all this stuff on either side of us, and we're kind of stuck in the middle. We're not doing self care, we're not doing self love, and then when everything breaks down, then it's like, what happened? So the goal is, I guess, part of your empowerment is to really help women to put themselves first so that they can take care of their family and do the things that they need to do to have the life that they deserve to have.
Yeah, I think it's important. The awareness. I do a thing called the mirror effect, to
Hmm.
where I always give my young girls mirrors, to look in the mirror, embrace who you are. Do you have freckles? Do you love your eyes? I mean, tell me what you love about you when you look at yourself in the mirror. And I promise you, every time you're going to get a couple of girls who are, loving on themselves, right? But you're going to always get a few that won't no,
Mhm.
and they'll pass the mirror. They don't want to look at their own reflection, their own beauty, so in my opinion, it's important to start very early. And even for the adult woman, that can be very challenging to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I use that with my clients sometime. I will have my clients list 5 things that they love about themselves. And I've had clients in my office crying
Yeah.
because they can't find a lot of them can't even find one thing that they love about
Hmm.
themselves, let alone 5 things. And that breaks my heart when I see someone crying because they don't love themselves and they can't find 5 things. But if you go ask somebody else, that same person, they can find 5 things that they love about you, but they can't
Hmm.
find 5 things that they love about themselves. So that self-love, that self-empowerment, that self-care is, I guess, so important. But
Important. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's why I do that, because it kind of lets you know where that person is at in that moment. And so that allows an opportunity to come in and start right there. So if you can't tell me one thing, or you can't look in that mirror, we're going to work on that, and so that's the strategy I use to kind of open the communication and building trust, so that way hey, when we're done, you're going to love yourself. You're going to be able to give me 3 things you love about you, or you're going to be able to hold that mirror and let's talk about it.
So when you do that and they're able to finally find those 3 things that they love about themselves, how does that look? How does that feel to those young girls? How does it change their lives and their perspective on themselves?
It empowers them. I mean, when you love yourself, I mean, you just know you can go out in the world and do anything. You are unstoppable. You know what you will and will not accept, and you
Mhm,
know what you deserve and what you don't.
mhm,
Um, it just, when you know who you are, the game just changes.
mhm.
So yeah.
Now, does it take a hard? Is that a hard process? How many times? Well, I guess what I'm thinking is, when they know who they are, do they accept it, or is it still challenging for them to be able to really sit with their feelings of who they are and be able to move forward, or do they kind of get stuck there a little bit?
Well, it just depends on the person, because I think whipping into a new mindset is a process.
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey. So you can always have setbacks, you know what I mean? Or,
Mm-hmm.
you may have something that triggers you and may keep you stuck in a place. But
Mm-hmm.
I really believe in the power of affirming young girls. I
Mm-hmm.
really believe in the power of affirming myself, adult women, men, affirming, because you remind them of their power. It's so
Yes.
important for someone who may be struggling and forgot about themselves, but taking on the responsibility to say, I see you, I
Mm-hmm.
hear you, I am you, I'm with you, reminding them who they are. It helps keep them going, so that way when they go to those tough moments, it's not as hard as the last time. So every time it gets easier.
Hmm. So let's talk about the power of sisterhood. This is one of the things that we wanted to discuss this today. Tell me, what does that mean? And anytime I hear the word power, that gets me. Because I'm all about empowering and empowering ourselves. So the power of sisterhood, because that's really what I'm all about. Is I have my sister to sister Saturday, and when you join my private Facebook group, I call us sisters. So what does the power of sisterhood mean to you, or how do you use it in your work?
um I use standing with women, especially Black women, stand with Black women, stand with the women, because when you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation, because that woman knows she's supported, she's loved, and it gives her the confidence to move forward. Sometimes we don't move because we may struggle with our confidence sometimes, or feel like we are not good enough, or we don't have the support. So the power of sisterhood to me is just means that I know I can do this job because I have so many women behind me, on the side of me, in front of me, and we're all um, equal. There's no bigger or smaller, and I love to push people forward. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I have your back. So I think, that's important. I think when you stand with people in that way, they feel led to do more. When you build up the mind, I mean, you're just unstoppable. So it's really important. I think it's mandatory.
Yeah, it really is mandatory. And it really is mandatory that sisters, especially Black sisters, that we really get together, not tear each other down, but really form a bond. Because number one, we don't know what each other is going through. We don't know what each other needs, and
Hmm.
we need to be able to know how we can help each other, build each other up, and help each other. And that is
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I do the sister to sister Saturdays, is because I want to empower women, build us women up so that we can go out in the world, face our fears, face them with confidence,
Hmm.
knowing that we've got a whole group of people that are pushing us forward
Yeah.
to live in this world the best way we can. And so there, when you have
Yeah.
people like you that are doing it, it just makes it easier. It makes it easier for us women to move forward.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of power in that. And it's hard being a woman, right? I mean, we have so many hats we wear. I mean, we're nurturers, we're healers, we're givers. So, I mean, a support goes a long way. It's women who stood with me um, in the abusive relationship that gave me the power to know my own power, to believe that I could make it, amongst, outside this abuse. So it was women who pushed me, who said, "Nope, girl, you're worth so much more. You can do it." Literally wiped my tears. So yeah, the power of sisterhood.
The power of sisterhood. I love it. The power of sisterhood. I think I'm going to write a whole paper on that. That's great. So, if someone is in an abusive relationship, or you know of someone that's in an abusive relationship, is there, like, I know is there a hotline? What are the steps? What do people need to do to get out of it? Or is there a hotline? Tell us what happens. What they need to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in Greene County, there's a lot of different resources. You have Harmony House, you have the Victim Center, you have the Family Justice Center, you have Green Dot, you have the Rebound Foundation. I mean, so much going on here to help, right? But there is a domestic violence hotline, national, which is on 1-800-799-7233, that you can call no matter where you're at, and they will connect you to someone local to kind of help you. But if you're ever in immediate danger, call 911.
Okay.
Immediately.
Immediately. Yeah, because I have a lot of women that listen to the Sister Saturday from all across the country. And so I would say, if you are whatever city, state, country that you're in, and find out where, I would find out even in advance where
Hmm.
to call, what are the resources in your area, because it may not be you, but it may be somebody that comes to you and say, I'm in this abusive relationship. I need some help. How can I get some help? And so and hopefully we can be able to help each other. So
Yeah.
wherever you're at, find the resources in your area so that you can help and other women. And if you are so inclined, I would say volunteer for some groups. I'm sure you could need volunteers for some of the things that you're doing. Am I correct, Kai?
Yeah, there's always a need for volunteers. Like you said, research your area for resources. And when you volunteer, you really learn a lot. You never know who you meet, who you're helping, who you're saving, whose life you can change. So it's through my volunteer work that I've met so many wonderful people, and built a network of resources to be able to say you can go over here, you can go over there, no matter what it is that you may need. So yeah, there's always opportunities to volunteer. um, I would say too, if you're in an abusive relationship, there is a an exit plan. You
Mhm.
can reach out to someone to help with your way out. What are you going to do? Do you have code words? Always keep your ID and social security cards, birth certificates in a spot where you can grab them, because sometimes that's all you're going to be able to grab. So things like that, and talking to someone that you trust, to help you through it is important.
Those are great tips. Any other great tips? Because I was thinking when I was in my abusive relationship, I had an exit plan. He was very controlling. I knew I needed to get out. So what I was do, I was packing my bags a little bit at a time, and so that he wouldn't notice that my clothes started missing. And then on the day I
Hmm.
was going to escape, I threw my bag outside the back window. I told him, I said, my mom is going to come pick me up, and I'll be back in a little bit. I ran around the house, got my bag, and I had my mom. We had already purchased my bus ticket, and I was able to leave. And I found out he was looking for me.
Yeah.
I had
Hmm.
escaped, and I like that. Have an exit plan. Get
Yeah.
someone to help you to get your plan together so that when it's the opportune time to get
Hmm.
away and get out.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh gosh, so it's so important to do that because recently, like in the last 30 days, I had an experience happen with a family, and they needed to get out like that day, and I didn't even know the person, but it was through volunteering that someone knew the line of work that I did. They reached out, and we were able to come up with an exit plan in 20 minutes. And this woman and her kids' whole life and situation changed. We got her safe out of town, um, just by that line of communication. So it's good to know people. It's good to know who you can reach out to in your time of need. I call them lifelines. Of course, we're familiar with that term, but it's
Mhm.
really good to know when to call your lifeline, and for them to be effective and efficient to help you in a immediate need.
Wow. So, if anyone is listening today, or you know someone that could be in an abusive relationship, number one, check on them, ask them, and hopefully they will come clean about what's going on so that you can help them to get out of the abusive relationship. If you are in an abusive relationship, get that exit plan, get some help, get out of that relationship, because unfortunately, it could end in disaster, and and it could end in death, or I don't know. I don't want to go seem so morbid, but it could really end very
No,
badly.
you're not. And that's what I wanted to share before we wrap. Is it can end in death, it really can. And so that's something that I really focus on, because it's not talked about, you know what I mean? That can be a result. Personally, back in 2011, I saw that's how I got pushed into activism in this area of domestic violence, because I saw it. I had to go do a well check. We couldn't get in, and so we had to call the police. And when the door was opened, a lifeless body, and it was not just lifeless, it was I don't even have the word. It was just horrible, a horrible scene. So he murdered her. He
Mhm.
murdered her, and she was 60 plus.
60? Oh my
Hmm.
goodness.
Yeah. So, and she's very close loved one of mine. So the family was scheduled to visit on Christmas, and nobody heard from her, and so that was the result. But she had been living in abuse her whole 30-year marriage. Um, and so the husband died through a heart attack. That's how she was able to get out of that. But started over, met a younger man, and he killed her. They weren't even together, I don't think, 2 years. And she was living in silence the whole time. So check on your people. Um, a lot of people right here, not a lot of people, but a lot of people right here in Greene County, have lost relatives to domestic violence. It can happen. Death is a result, unfortunately, to the abuse if you don't get out. and get help.
Yeah, I've known in my earlier years of several people that I've known a young lady who's seen her mom get shot from an abuser, and I've never seen it to that extent myself, but I do know, and it's horrific, especially for children. And so, do well checks. I like that. Do well checks,
Yeah,
especially if you think that there may be some abuse going on. Make sure you check on somebody, call them, encourage them. And if you don't hear from them for a day or so, and or if that gut feeling, you think something is going on, listen to your gut, listen to your soul, because it's got that is where your power lies, and do something. Don't just
yeah,
let things just go
yeah,
because you are afraid. And I think we got to be brave, we got to be strong, and help each other and help our sisters to get out of these situations and not be afraid, because sometimes we
yeah.
can be afraid that we may put our own life on the line to be able to help somebody else as well too.
Yeah, and that's true. You have to have boundaries in everything that you do, even the work you do, the how much you volunteer, because you can risk your own life and a lot of this stuff too. So boundaries are definitely important. But check on your people and love yourself. It's the biggest thing. Know who you are, know your worth, and practice self care.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Kai. I didn't see any questions. Let me see. Let me see if I can get to my Facebook page just to see if we have any questions today. I don't see where we have any questions today, but this what to me was very eye opening, and I'm going to use this show as a way to be able to help other people. So I'm probably going to use this in several other ways. You will get a copy of this, but I really appreciate you being here. This was such a powerful subject, and I think some people, it may be too heavy for them right now. It's a
Mhm.
lot going on, and so to talk about domestic violence, we can't shy away. So I really, really, really appreciate you being on the Sister to Sister Saturday. And I just hope whoever listen on replay, if you listen to this on replay, do hashtag replay and let me know that you listened, and help volunteer if you can in your communities. Make sure that other women know that they can come to you if they are in an abusive relationship, and just put yourself, be kind and be gentle with other people. And then if you are in an abusive relationship, because a lot of women are, and they're scared to say, love yourself enough to get out of it
Yeah,
safely,
safely.
for
Yeah.
your sake and for your children's sake. So
Hmm.
if you've got kids or grandchildren. So any
Yeah.
parting words before we go, Miss Kai? I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the question?
I said, do you have any parting words for our
Oh,
audience before we leave today?
yeah, just two things. October 23rd here, I'm hosting my annual domestic violence awareness walk,
Okay.
where we walk for those who have not yet walked out. We walk for those and celebrate those that have walked out. And we also walk for those who have not walked out because they lost, their lives into domestic violence. So we do this every year, and so we're going to do it here in Springfield, October 23rd at 11. And volunteer, 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 because you never know who you can save, especially our young girls. I know a Girl Like Me Network specializes with young girls, and they have volunteer opportunities. So that's a really good opportunity if you're here local. And build up your community, because when you build up a support system of powerful women, the world becomes better. The world becomes better.
I won't be here for that walk. I will be out of town, but you give me the information. I'll make sure I post it on my pages. I am going to be working with a Girl Like Me, which I'm really excited to work with
Good,
that organization. And
good.
it hasn't been announced yet, but that is something that's coming up because it's near and dear to my heart. And so I'm
Awesome.
excited about that. Just a quick plug for the Score E3 women's conference that's going to be September the 15th and 16th
Yeah.
at the Oasis Center. I'm giving away a free ticket. If you are listening or you're on the replay, let me know if you want a ticket. I'm going to do a drawing for a free ticket. I am a sponsor and I'm a speaker, and I'm going to be speaking about your soul's power. I've got some great gifts to give away. I've got the stress ball because we're under a lot of stress. My camera's a stress ball. I have these hair ties. Now my hair is so big that the hair ties won't fit my hair. So I'm using it as a wristband. It's got my logo on it. I've got some great prizes. I mean, I have some wonderful prizes to give away. Memberships to the Y, umbrellas, all kind of good stuff. So come by and see me at the conference. It's going to be virtually and in person, but it's a great way for women to come together and empower each other to do all the great things. So it's going to be nonprofit, business women, entrepreneurs, but it's a sisterhood of women. So if you're in Springfield, Missouri, please come out. And if you'd like to have a free ticket, DM me, and I'm going to be giving a free ticket away to anybody. But I'm excited about that. I'm excited about you and your work. And there's so much that we can be doing here in Springfield, across this country, to empower women. I'm just excited that you're in this, that me and you are sisters, and we're doing this together to help women across this country. So thank you.
Yeah, me too. I'll see you at the SCORE conference.
Well, thank
I'll be
you.
going.
Thank you. Well, good. I'm glad you're coming. Come by my booth. I've got some great things, and I'll have a gift for you specifically for doing my show. I appreciate you, Kai.
Awesome.
Thank you for our listening. We were a little long today, but you know what? This was an important subject, and I'm so thankful to Miss Kai Sutton, who is the president of our local NAACP here in Springfield. Blessings to you and the work that you do. I know it's a new position for you, and along with all the other things, it's like me. It's like, can you put one more thing on your plate? It's like, I'm gonna try not to, but it happens. So I know you're a busy lady and you've got kids, but thank you so much for
no problem. No problem.
So we're going to end our Sister to Sister Saturday. Thank you for those that are listening. Next week we will have Miss Rochelle. I can't think of her last name, but we're going to be talking about life after divorce, and so we're going to be talking about that. This is an empowerment season. This is what this new season of the Sister to Sister Saturday is really helping women health wise and mindset, lifestyle, just to help us to come up. We're trying to come up, and this is what I'm trying to do. So thank you, Ms. Kai.
No problem.
Wonderful Labor Day weekend, and I appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.